guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm going to do a video I think a lot of people want to see, and that is the differences between the R3425 GT, GTV and GTT. I'm just going to go through the main differences, but whenever I mention the GTT, this also includes the GTV, as it was basically GTT without the turbo motor. So the body, real simple one. This is an R3425 GT turbo. This is how you can tell basically that it is an R3425 GT turbo. Apart from that, and some interior stuff on the outside of it, you basically can't tell the difference between that and an R3425 GT. As you can see here, apart from the little side vent where the intercooler sits, you really can't tell the difference. So not overly too much. Suspension is next. So suspension, a lot of people think that the parts are interchangeable, that it's really easy to make a turbo car, a non-turbo car, a turbo car. Not true. So the R3425 GT uses the R33 GTST suspension. This configuration is known as the eyelet ends. So basically you'll see a picture here, the ends look like an eye, or what they consider to be an eye. So yeah, a lot of people use R33 suspension on R3425 GTs. The R3425 GTT and GTVs use a fork type suspension, same as the GTR, but they do not fit the GTR. So basically two pins or two prongs that look like a fork, I guess. But moving on, we'll go brakes, and no, they're not the same. What is pot calipers about? So pot in the calipers means a piston, which means a piston clamps down on the brake pads, which are fitted either side of a vented disc rotor. So I've got a picture of it popping up soon. So when people say things like 2-pot or 4-pot calipers, what they're referring to is the amount of pistons in that caliper. So for example, here you've got the caliper, then you've got the rotor, brake pads either side of that, and the piston that pushes the brake pads into the rotor to stop, obviously, the car. So an R34 GT NA brakes are exactly the same as an R33 GTS brakes, which is also an NA. They are 2-pot front and 1-pot rear. The R33 GTST brakes are 4-pot front and 2-pot rear, but are totally different calipers. The rotors are larger as well, so not the same brakes. The R34 GTT brakes are 4-pot front and 2-pot rear, but are totally different from the R33 GTST. Brake rotors are also bigger. I've got an NA, can I have GTT calipers? Well, yes, in short you can. However, if you want to upgrade an NA R34 brakes, the bolt-on upgrade is to get R33 GTST rotors, because they are better, and calipers. The R34 GTT brakes don't bolt straight up. The main bolt hole needs to be drilled out to fit the bigger bolt from the GTT setup. So a lot of people use the R33 GTST brakes as an upgrade for their NA. Obviously still have the stopping power of the turbo car, or Nissan believe they did. I tend to agree with what Nissan deemed to be appropriate, because they're the ones that spend millions of dollars on R&D, research and development. So we'll move into transmissions now, automatics and manuals. I couldn't find too much on the automatics, if I'm honest, but there is a difference between the NA and the turbo models. So the automatic GTT has more clutch packs in the transmission, more clutch packs on the forward gear due to more torque from the turbo engine. Now, the main differences are in the 5-speed manuals. So the 5-speed in the GT is very similar to the RB20DET R32 GTS found in the R32 GTST. Manual gearbox, the 5-speed GTT transmission is much more effective at putting the power down at the rear wheels. The final point on transmissions, an R33 GTST manual gearbox is not the same as an R34 GTT manual gearbox. So by putting in an R33 GTST manual gearbox, no, you don't have a manual R34 GTT. It's a different box. So look guys, I've got some interior pics here. This is an R3425 GT interior. It could also be an R3425 GTV, to be honest with you, because they're exactly the same on the inside. Obviously this is the turbo model, because you've got the triple gauge cluster up the top there. But yeah, there's probably a few other things I need to research as well. To be honest with you guys, this wasn't this is a manual version obviously here, as you can see, but There's probably more things to discover with these cars. However, they are not the same, and I'm going to do a video about turning an NA R34 into a turbo model. There's so many differences with them that it's just, yeah, it's mind-blowing. So there's probably more, but I have not found the info yet, so stay tuned for part 2 of this video. That being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope it was a bit informative. For those who've subscribed, thank you so much. For those who have yet to subscribe, consider giving us a like and subscribing. Other than that, guys, look, I hope you enjoyed the video. Working on some other stuff soon. It's been really hot in SA, so haven't had time to do much because the heat really affects me, but we're getting there. But as always, take care.